Hello, everybody, and welcome. I am Dr. Angelika Christie, your host of the show, Your Radiant Life After 45. We discuss skills for healthy, happy, and wealthy women. I show you how to design and enjoy your most radiant life after 45, and by conscious and intelligent choice. With over 25 years of professional experience as a naturopathic doctor specializing in healthy aging, women's healthy aging, and as a lifestyle and relationship coach, together with my vast personal experience, because I'm not a spring chicken anymore, I give you everything I have, everything I know. So if this sounds good enough to you, please come here and be my guest every week. Saturdays, at least in our hemisphere, in the United States and in the Western world, at 3 o'clock Eastern time. Yes? Okay, so let's begin. In previous episodes, I spoke about the 3 critical steps for outrageous success. And I have discussed, and if you have not seen it or heard it yet, please look for it, because the first critical step is clarity. Clarity, yes, and you will find it in previous episodes. And the second critical step is courage. And you will also find an episode with that title. So please watch those, but it doesn't need to be necessarily in that first, second, or third. But the third critical step, which I want to discuss with you today, is commitment. And here's the thing, nothing works unless you have a commitment to your goal. Whatever you want to do, it is very easy for us to drift, but we need to make a commitment to achieve what we want to achieve. And that can be in any area of our life, not just in business, but in our personal life. It could be if you want to lose weight, if you want to lose, I don't even want to say necessarily weight, because I'm also a naturopathic doctor, so I know about how to have radiant health, how to be really energetic and fit and lean. If you want to lose weight, we want to lose the fat, the unnecessary fat, right? And we want to build muscle, and muscle is heavier than fat. So losing weight by itself may be a little bit, unclear, because you see, clarity was the first critical step. So I want to tell you only that commitment to that goal, to maybe turn fat into muscle and shed extra weight. Without a commitment, it's just not going to happen. It stays a wish, and you will probably be on up and down and we know this, right? Whatever you have not a stern commitment with is probably not going to happen necessarily. So, having said that, commitment is one of the most important qualities to reach any goal. We know that we need to be committed to what we want, right? So I just made an example with shedding extra pound, but there are other examples. It is really a simple law. It's the law of the universe. It's called also the law of attraction. The law is simple to understand. As I just said, it's pretty simple that if you're not committed to something, you will probably find discomfort and let it go. So the law is simple to understand, yet not so simple to do. Why is that? Because we are drifters by nature, drifting according to outer circumstance, and also very much we are drifting according to what's going on in our minds at a certain time and our feelings. We most often think about commitments that are outside of ourselves also. So here would be an example. Have you not been taught a commitment to behaving and listening to your parents and teachers when you were smaller, in your younger years? Yes. Have you not been asked to commit to study hard and get good grades so that you can apply for maybe a higher education and have a better chance in life? Yes or yes? Were you not asked to commit to a relationship and behave in a certain way? Yes or yes? It goes without saying that without your family and community and without the commitments that your family asked of you and even your community, you were not only asked, but they were actually expected of you. At least that's how I experienced it in my younger years. You made commitments even though nothing was ever guaranteed, yes? Am I right? Because to have a guarantee and make a commitment is rather easy, right? One of the biggest commitments is that of being a mother. You may be a mother or you may not be a mother. If you're not a mother, then you may have siblings in your family who have children and who you are a wonderful aunt. But if you are a mother, it is the commitment to care for your child, right? Bring it up the best way you can until it becomes an adult and leaves you. Oh yes, I know some of you continue those commitments way beyond their adolescence. And when it carries into their adulthood, that commitment can become a false responsibility that may start a codependency, and that's not good. But that's another theme for another teaching, for another time when we discuss that, because I see it all around me, even in my own family. So let me ask you this. Can you count all the commitments you made in the past and are still adding presently that bind you to something outside of yourself? And I know there's no time to do this right now, but if you have a piece of paper, please maybe write this down, and it would be an amazing exercise to write down, what do I believe my commitments are today? This would be something to find out what you believe you have a commitment to today, and then you can ask yourself, is this still valid? Yes? Because there comes a time in your life when you find yourself at a crossroad and realize maybe that it is time for you to take a different path. You may realize that the time has come to commit to yourself first, to make yourself number one in your life. And that usually comes anyway in the second part of your life, when your children have left, or when it's just a different life that comes around menopause or after menopause. And you have to reevaluate, what are my commitments? What are my responsibilities? Then you have to ask yourself, what is my life really all about? You see your whole life story. You see your whole life story is with you constantly. You live your story all the time, but sometimes it's really amazingly interesting. And I believe it is important to stop and ask yourself, what is it? What is my life all about now? And what are my outside commitments? And which ones have become less important or are really not there anymore, even though I believe I just go through with those commitments because they feel familiar. I just did not ask myself, is this still appropriate? And maybe something needs to shift or to change. But usually you will know when that time arrives, because you can feel a big void within you that needs to be filled with something else. And it needs to be filled not with something from the outside. No business can fill this void really anymore. It wants to be filled with something more profound that really comes from new awarenesses from the inside of your life, how it evolves. So how do you find this? You have to dial down the loud voice of your mind and hear the soft voice of your soul self beckoning you to turn within and discover your true being. It's really your invitation to understand yourself not only from your mind, but also and especially from your heart, from where your true purpose wells up in moments of total clarity. Total clarity, because all kinds of moments well up and they can be contaminated, they can be polluted. But when you come into that inner stillness with total clarity, then you find tremendous answers. But how often have you disregarded this clarity? Or sometimes something comes in a way of, I call it an epiphany. But an epiphany or sudden insights usually don't stay for long. They usually come and subside very quickly, unless you stop yourself and maybe find something to write it down or to record it immediately. But if you disregard your sudden clarity and insights, they may disappear in the moment, but they don't really go away. Yet they create pressure, and they also will be triggered again and again and eventually exhaust you, or maybe even depress you. So maybe now is the time to reevaluate your life's path, the one that your soul knows and holds the blueprint for, until you discover it and until it comes into its fulfillment. Because once you know that your happiness does not reside outside of you, you realize that your commitment must be to yourself first. And I'm speaking about the second part of your life. I know when we are young, we have so many commitments, and they are all very, very important. We wear so many hats, we play so many roles, we women so much more than men, right? And but in the second part of your life, for every woman, a new story actually begins. But do you know why most people are dissatisfied with their life? It's because they can't reach their goals even though they are trying repeatedly. And they don't understand that life changes and that the second part of their life may ask different things of you, different awarenesses. You may have to shift and sometimes even end something to make room for something new to become aware, to come into your awareness and to be realized. We already discussed some of the steps to a fulfilling and purposeful life. All of what I shared with you in some of the previous episodes are necessary to create a radiant life. So what were those? You needed clarity. Yes? You needed to make a choice, because once you have clarity, you also see that you still have choices. So then you need to make a choice, and you usually need courage for that. So you need courage and also creativity, because life changes, situations change, and sometimes you have to pivot and create something entirely new. But Some people say they are not creative, but you create every moment of your life. Every moment of your life, you create something by your emotions, by your choices, by your mind, and the actions you take. Yes? Yet, if you do not have commitment, nothing really works. And I stress that if you are not 100% committed to yourself and the vision you have for your whatever you really envision, which will create this extraordinary life, you will falter and you will feel that you failed, even though you never really fail, but you will be dissatisfied because you don't get where you want to be fast enough or in a straight way. You may have to take too many detours. So, do you agree then that success comes from a 100% commitment until you stick to your goal until you see it realized? And actually, just realizing this and of course practicing it separates the ones who succeed from those who could have succeeded if they would have stuck it out and wouldn't have given up prematurely. And I think nobody goes that straight line to immediately succeed. Well, there are always exceptions, but I am, for example, am not that exception. And maybe you're not either. But life is a journey. It's an up and down and experiencing and learning and regrouping and getting knocked down and dusting off, the failures or the dust or whatever has attached itself to you, and start anew or create something different. Anyway, this is about you. And here is what you may not even be aware of. When you commit yourself to be all that you can be, you can't help but begin your internal journey where you discover something extraordinary. What is that? Extraordinary self-discovery. It is the discovery of your original self. Yes, your original self. So what is the original self? I believe it is who you are at the very center of your being. It is what you came into this lifetime with. It's really your total uniqueness, because you are one of a kind. It is that which you have always been, actually, just covered up with layers and layers of faults and outdated beliefs and identities. And where do identities come from? Boy, this is a fascinating subject that I am eager to address in one of the later episodes. It's fascinating how we take on certain identities, right? I repeat, your original self is that which you have always been, just covered up with layers and layers of false and outdated identities. And what this really means is that your original self has been denied and you have forgotten it because over time you took on false responsibilities. Those layers accumulated and grew into thick layers over the decades of your life and may still hide who you really are. Maybe you have already shed some of those layers. Maybe you have discovered most of you, and that would be amazing. Then I know how important this is, and you shine. You are a shining star for others to follow. But if you have not, if you are still covered with layers and layers of these outdated beliefs and things that have accumulated, then you know that you are constantly searching, that you are still searching for your true being, you're still asking yourself, who am I? And it may never totally stop, but the more you go within yourself, the more you will discover. So I recommend taking stillness as part of your daily rituals or exercises. So how would you feel if you could remember your original self? How much joy would you experience if you could capture that innocence of your original self? You may not even remember how you were as a little child, right? I tell you, you were boundless, unafraid, unapologetically self-absorbed, innocent, and yes, committed to yourself. You were committed to your needs, without shame or a second thought of not deserving what you wanted. Isn't that, this is how children are, young children. That's what we admire in them, and sometimes also find annoying, right? Because they are just totally themselves. That inner child still lives within you. And the commitment to your soul self to express itself through you in this lifetime is why you are here now. And what that means is that your soul wanted to incarnate in this lifetime, in this body that you have, so that you could experience all of you in this lifetime, which I don't know if you believe in multiple lifetimes, but if you do, then this is another lifetime. And your soul had a purpose for this lifetime. Yet, unfortunately, you and I were born with the seal of forgetfulness and therefore do not remember who we are. No, we don't. We are innocent and we are unapologetically ourselves when we are children, and then we are trained to think differently. But it is still your soul's commitment to express itself through you. And how can you allow this? Well, it starts by going within and becoming still. And what that means is that rather than being worried so much, you'll experience more clarity and a greater ease. And rather than feeling unfulfilled, you know that this is really an illusion, that you are already complete. And that completeness is there for you to discover. Why do we need to discover it and over again? Because we do not remember. No, we do not remember. The brain doesn't remember. And we are so reliant on the brain and our feelings too, but there is a deeper knowing within us, and that comes from our soul self. Our soul knows everything. Our soul knows. Your soul knows who you are. My soul knows who I am. Yes, oh my goodness, could we just get a transcript from our soul, right? Wouldn't that be amazing? Unfortunately, that's not how it works. We have to discover it by becoming still and going within and unzipping everything that is on the outside, so we can go deeper and deeper and deeper into our true self, where we finally find our original self. If we find that in this lifetime, we may or we may not. If not, maybe we need a couple of more lifetimes. So don't worry too much about it. Just go within, because that whole experience, that inner journey, is so satisfying and it's so rewarding. When you do this, it really means that you know getting still and listen. Become familiar with it so you can go deeper and deeper, which really, that inner listening, that inner, I would almost say it's it becomes like it's not a monologue, it's actually a dialogue between you, your higher self, your soul self, and your heart maybe, and your mind, because they are still involved, because you're in this human body. You see, the wisest and most powerful guidance and confident that assures that your life flows with ease is listening to your soul self. And what that really means is that you are free to live your life the way you desire and become a leading star for others to follow. And that desire doesn't come from your mind. It comes from your soul. So my question is, when will you make that commitment to embark on the most exciting journey of your life? The journey within. When will you allow to be guided by going within and listen to your innermost, loving, powerful, and wisest self, your soul self? I call the representation of our soul self your inner hero, and I call the commitment to yourself heroic self-love. Here is what I know for sure. Heroic self-love equals freedom, and it is the path that leads you to your greatest joy and fulfillment. And your inner hero is the representation of your immortal soul, who encourages you to commit to your original self. Why? Because living from the inside out, which means loving from your original self, ensures your greatest joy and satisfaction. And what this means is that you'll be guided to live your limitless life on purpose. Which purpose? Not your mind's purpose, your soul purpose. So I invite you to tap into the mystery of your still maybe unrealized potential and greatest happiness. Yes, I invite you into your own magic, where you discover who you are. What are the requirements again? Here are some that make it happen. I believe curiosity is very important, especially as we get older. Sometimes we lose our curiosity. And then, of course, clarity, courage, and choice. And then most of all, commitment. When you put those to work to discover and live your life to the fullest, you prosper on purpose and experience a high degree of self-worth and happiness in all areas of your life. So your relationship with yourself becomes more loving. Your relationship with your partner gets more enjoyable. Your relationship with your family improves greatly. Your relationship with life itself becomes unlimited. And your capacity to love expands 100 or maybe even 1,000-fold, because life itself will fall in love with you. Take a deep breath. Wouldn't that be amazing? So let me ask you, are you committed to let go of all that is not in alignment with who you are and claim your original self? And are you committed to live your unapologetic life according to your awesome uniqueness? And are you committed to live your highest potential and live it with ease, without concerns? Yes? Then please, maybe listen to what I have shared with you before, because there are some very profound things that I want you to take into consideration. Okay, so this is all the time we have here today. I enjoyed having you here with me once more. Thank you for spending your precious time with me. And if you find what I shared with you today valuable, mark your calendar for next weekend. Same time, same day of the week, Saturdays, 3 o'clock. And also check out the previous episodes. The previous episodes bring a lot of other interesting things that you may want to follow or to get challenged by. Some of them may be a little challenging. So, and then please get in touch with me. Look into my bio and how to get in touch. Find me, how to get in touch with me. Find me on social media. Connect with me. And this is all that I can share with you today. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again next week. Bye-bye.